Welcome to Tango Bravo. Join us as we delve into the real-world experiences and stories of everyday veterans. Today, we will begin with a series that will provide an in-depth look into the lives and stories of 3 American veterans. These stories cover deeply personal elements of the day-to-day aspects of the lives of American service members. It is a profound privilege to be able to share these stories with you. Join us as we experience life through the eyes of an American veteran.
I'm Blake. I was an A1C in the United States Air Force. I was security forces stationed in Minot, North Dakota. I did 2 years of a 6-year hitch. We also do that as in-room training. We're trained to arrive at everything from domestic disputes to, suicide attempts to just all kinds of insane stuff. So it's 10 weeks, I want to say. It's right around there, like 9.5 weeks, something like that. And it's very, very intense. You're learning a massive amount. It's broken into 3 phases. We do a lot of weird field training. Like we learn how to low crawl, which civilians think they see in the movies. That's actually a high crawl when you see it in the movies. Low crawl is you plant your ass on the ground, like straight down. Your chest is buried in the dirt and mud. And you basically use your helmet as a bulldozer in front of you while you kick your leg without lifting your knee to grind across the ground while the dirt is sandpapering off the side of your face. So if you do it right, at the end of a day, one side of your face will be bare and bleeding, and the other side will look perfect. And that's actually one of the ways that they would kind of grade on whether you're doing it right or not. You got to remember you're hauling your weapon and everything else with you. In my case, a 60 gun, which really sucks because that thing is a pig and it's heavy. They don't use those anymore. But one of the interesting things was one of the situations I arrived at was I arrived in a room. It was reported to me outside of the room, essentially equivalency of a radio call, that it was a domestic dispute and it had been called in by the neighbors. You open the door. In the room, you see one airman acting, and they have a rubber knife, and they're saying they're going to kill themselves. You have to clear the room, clear anything else in the space, understand who's in the space, very rapidly deal with the fact that they have a knife, try to de-escalate the situation, calm them down. And there's all kinds of different things, like they'll act and react to things that you do. So there's a weapon in the room, so an instinct might be to draw your weapon, which is absolutely correct. However, in that situation, it was actually kind of interesting. I actually got downgraded on that because it was considered the way that I drew it was considered to raise escalation. So you actually, every little thing is judged, like how you do things is supposed to have a certain subtlety so that you don't add to the situation, you don't make it worse. And you round robin on these things, so you enter an area and there's a whole ton of different rooms. You go into a room and it's one situation, you finish, you get graded on that, you get feedback, you go to the next room, it's a completely different situation, and on down the line. And you would do that both physically, also with MCATs. People would occasionally, act like they're going to attack you, all kinds of different stuff. Other things that were interesting about the training were we actually got some martial arts training. Generally, it's Aikido based. Things like Nikyo and Ikkyo grips, in case somebody's trying to grab your weapon, those work really well to allow you to retain your weapon. You're judged on weapon retention, all kinds of other stuff. So you go through all that, and then meanwhile you're also going through a bunch of intense classroom training. In our tech school, you were 2 to a room in a dorm room, usually with somebody that's in a different phase, usually in a different flight entirely. And you had a decent amount of freedom on like weekends. Like you could, through phase 1, you could hang out up on the, there's like a patio thing, and planes are flying over all the time because it's an Air Force base. But you could hang out there. In phase 2, you could actually go to designated smoking areas and smoke, and you could wear civvies off base. In phase 3, you're basically a standard airman. And then the rest of my tech school story is after I graduated, I actually had to wait on a security clearance and personal reliability program because I was going to a missile base. So you end up kind of hanging out on Lackland waiting for that to clear through. And for that, we hung out in a thing called grad flight. Basically, grad flight helps run the tech school. So we would dorm up on the Medina side of the base, and we would assist with running GIMP flight, which is basically everybody that's on some kind of injury, making sure that they had duties of the day. And we would manage the security of the tech school site, all the gates around and everything like that. And some of us would get assigned to basically be baby pushers, which is basically ensuring that people in phase 1 end up at the places they're supposed to be, like that they get chow in the morning, that they do their morning PT, things like that. And it was really about the experience.
This is Tango Bravo. Our goal is to give you the full experience of sitting and chatting with service members and hearing the stories and details that are rarely told. And as always, please like this video and all others that you've enjoyed so far. Don't forget to subscribe and ring that notification bell. Thank you for your interest and support in our developing channel. And remember, if you are watching this, you are a card-carrying member of the Thrill Hammer Nation. Thank you.
Thrill Hammer.